announces to everyone that she is retiring and thus abdicating her position as leader due to the spirit declaring that she needs to choose a successor. When asked on who will be her new successor, she reveals that both Mirabel and Bruno have proven themselves worthy of being the new leaders of the Encanto due to having both the wisdom, patience, compassion, and skills to lead the Encanto in her stead. Though the two madrigals are doubtful of their capability to hold such an important position, the others encourage them to take it as they believe they are worthy of the title and have proven themselves to the others after years of being looked down upon and mistreated. Preparations for the inauguration ceremony begin, with the ceremony itself being held in 2 months. Finally, after weeks of preparation, Bruno and Mirabel end up proceeding with the ceremony, with the Riveras and Tulio also being invited for this momentous occasion. Unfortunately, the Mendozas show up to try and force Alma to make them leaders instead, while threatening to kill everyone and destroy the Encanto should she refuse. Deciding that enough is enough, Alma finally reveals that it was the Mendozas who tried to kill Mirabel on her 5th birthday, which horrifies everyone and makes Bruno fly into a rage as his powers manifest in the form of a sandy tornado with his eyes glowing green in a manner that is far more terrifying than before. He nearly kills the Mendozas until Mirabel is able to calm him down by hugging him and bringing him back to Alma before he does something terrible. When the Mendozas show no gratitude and still try to badmouth the two madrigals, Alma gives them an ultimatum by either staying in the Encanto and accepting the two madrigals as their new leaders or leaving the Encanto for good. Seeing that they have no choice, the Mendozas are forced to leave, only to discover that their servants have abandoned them to their demise and no longer wish to have anything to do with them. The madrigals, as well as their friends and allies, arrive at the Mendoza residence to see them off and make sure they never come back. As the now disgraced family leave, they are forced to walk across the river, but their arguing and infighting attracts a group of hungry and territorial panthers who devour Paco, Gloria, and Fabio, whereas Andres and Valentina abandon them to their fates in order to save their own skins. Valentina ends up suffering an ironic death by falling off a similar cliff and tumbling down the sea just like Mirabel, though unlike Mirabel, she ends up dying from a broken neck and drowns to the bottom of the sea instead. Andres is the last to die as he makes the mistake of running off another cliff that causes him to fall into a cluster of trees where the vines end up strangling him to death. The chapter ends with the spirit appearing before Andres' corpse and burying him out of pity while commenting how pathetic they are. It cuts to 5 years later, where both the Madrigals and Riveras have started living happy lives ever since the magic was restored, along with Bruno and Mirabel having become the new leaders of the Encanto. During the 5 year time skip, Bruno and Alita were able to get married and have 3 children, whereas Mariano and Dolores end up having 2 sons, with 3 more children planned for the future. Alba Rivera ended up moving to the Encanto to expand the Rivera shoemaking business, as well as getting to court Luisa, who returned his feelings and even married him. They were able to have 1 son together, thus uniting both the Riveras and the Madrigals through their marriage. Sadly, however, not everything would remain happy, as Mama Coco would eventually pass away a few months later due to old age. Things would get even more upsetting when Alma started showing signs of being closer to death than usual. The day after the triplets celebrate their 55th birthday, Alma's condition would worsen to the point where she passes out during lunch and had to be brought to her room. The Madrigals, along with their local doctor, check up on her only to find out, to their sadness, that Alma is on the brink of death. Her last words before her death are for Bruno and Mirabel to not make the same mistakes that she did, while declaring her love for her family and bidding them farewell. The Madrigals mourn for her death, with Peppa causing a large rainstorm to occur out of grief over losing her mother. The funeral workers are then brought to the casita, where it is revealed that Alma knew her death was coming, as foretold by both Bruno and Mirabel due to their gifts, and had prepared for it in advance due to her age condition showing the signs. Once the funeral workers give their condolences and take the body away to be prepared for the upcoming funeral, the Madrigals go back upstairs to see the door of Alma Madrigal fading away and leaving nothing but a blank wall where the room once stood. Fortunately, the sad mood is lifted when the Madrigals see Alma's image being added to Mirabel's door, thus showing that her spirit continues to not only watch over her family, but also prove that she has indeed reunited with her husband after all. The chapter ends with Alma waking up in the land of the dead and joyfully reuniting with Pedro, the deceased Riveras, and even her old loved ones from Macondo, thus ending the story on a happy yet bittersweet note.